So we're going to explore the koshas. Yeah, the 5 koshas. So if you have color pens or pencils or markers, you can use them. You're going to get one color, or you can, if you just have one, that's fine. But you're going to draw 5 rectangles. Use the whole sheet of paper. So like I'll just improvise here. If you have a ruler, you can do it with a ruler. I'm just drawing. But this is my outer sheet. Yeah. And if you have another color, you get another color and you're going to draw a box, 3 inner boxes with that same color. So I'm going to draw a box inwards, another box inwards. So it looks like that. And with the same color, I'm going to draw 2 more. And then get another color to draw the 5th box inside. I have 5 boxes, yes. And then if you have a red, if you use red already, then use orange. If you use orange already, then use red for this one. And in the box, you're going to draw 2 flames, big flame, and a small flame. Big flame, small flame. Good. So in the yoga culture, the rishis, they tried to, just to help us conceptualize what's happening here when we're moving, the yoga poses, the pranayama practices, the meditation, right? This is a concept just to let us, okay, this is what's taking place. So they call it the 5 koshas. So in the yoga culture, whenever something is important, they repeat it 3 times. Yes, you'll hear they say Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So whenever something is important, they repeat it 3 times. Why is that? Does anyone know why 3 times? There's no wrong answers, only incomplete answers.
For the Trinity.
For the Trinity, yes, good. Thank you. Anyone else? To break the three kleshas, to break down the three kleshas, the three, understand this universe has koshas, which is filled with three ways of suffering, right? So we see our friends in Hawaii, they're going through what we call Daivaklesh. Daivaklesh means kleshas from natural catastrophe. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, right? I'm in Miami every week now. Hurricane watch, right? There's a hurricane coming. Hopefully it doesn't come, right? Then forest fires like we just had. Then the next type of suffering, once we are in this material universe, the next type of klesha or suffering we'll have is adibautika klesha. Adibautika, suffering caused by other living entities. So your mosquitoes, snake bites, viruses, right? We all had COVID, right? Suffering caused by other living entities. And then once you are in this material world, you will have Adhyatmika Klesh. Adhyatmika means created by your own mind and your own body. How many of us have experienced Adhyatmika Klesh? All of us, right? Oh no, it will be like this. Then it's not like that. Unnecessary suffering. So that's one way why the yogis repeat something. So we break through the kleshas. And then when you break through the kleshas, my teacher used to say, because human in Kali Yuga are stubborn. So first you have to hear it. Then hopefully the second time you listen to it. Then hopefully by the third time you realize it. Right. So if you've done the koshas before, you've listened to it. If this is the second time around with the koshas, you are, no, first time you heard it. If this is the second time, you are, hopefully you listen to it. And then hopefully by the third time around, you realize it. And what will happen when you realize it? You will have that natural, yes, right? Manasa, stubborn, Kali Yuga, the mind. So then, when you realize it, my teacher used to say, then go and teach it. Because if you teach it, you will forget it. So I like to tell students, as you learn, if you're already teaching yoga, you have these, you can drop these into your classes more and more and more. And even if your studio is doing a teacher training, or you can offer to teach the koshas for them, offer to teach pranayam for them, right? Because when you teach it, it becomes living again. Because if you just, it'll disappear. Right? The human mind in Kali Yuga. So one of the things how we're going to explore this amazing organism, this micro universe, is through the koshas. So the Sanskrit word for the outer layer, the outer is Ana, A-N-A, Ana Maya Kosh. Maya, M-A-Y-A, Ana Maya. And that is your, Ana in Sanskrit to English is your food sheet, the physical body. So food sheet. That is made up of the tattvas, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the Anamaya Kosh, made up of the food sheet made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. Good. Who's doing this the second time? Anyone is doing this the second time? Okay. If you're doing it the second time, what's the name of the next layer in?
Pranamaya Kosh.
Thank you. The Pranamaya Kosh. That is your energy sheet. Energy sheet. Pranamaya Kosh, energy sheet. And in this layer, the yogas, the rishis, the recognizes where we find the karmendriyas. Yes, karmendriyas, K-A-R-M, like karma, karmen, E-N-D-R-I-Y-A-S, karmendriyas. Yeah. So there are 5 karmendriyas. Those are our karma, our action organs. Yes, action organs. So the 5 action organs are our legs, arms, mouth, genital, and our anus. 5 action organs. Then the next layer in, what is the next layer in? The next layer in, Noel?
I'm quickly looking through my previous notes.
Anyone else knows?
Is it Vijnanmaya Kosh?
No, before.
Manomaya.
Manomaya. Thank you, Anna. Manomaya. M-A-N-O. Maya. Mano is the manas, right? Manas Bhuta, the mental sheet. The mind, the mental sheet. And in the mental sheet is where we have the Gyanendriyas. Gyana, J-A-N-A-N-D-R-I-Y-A-S. Gyanendriyas. In the Manomaya Kosh, we have the Gyanendriyas, the 5 sense acquiring, knowledge acquiring senses, such as, what are the 5 senses we have in them? Eyes, ears, nose, skin, tongue. In the Manomaya Kosh, we also have our emotions. Yes, the emotions are in the mind. Then the next layer in, you said it, Nisha, is Vijnanamaya Kosh. V-I-J-N-A, Vijnan, N-A-N-A-M-A-Y-A. A-Y-A, Vijnana Maya. This is our intellectual sheet. Vijnana Maya, intellectual sheet. And in the Vijnana, we have the ability of discernment, right? Discernment, ability of discernment. And then the fifth kosh, the most subtle layer that covers us is the Anandamaya. Anandamaya, A-N-A-N-D-A-M-A-Y-A. Anandamaya, or the yogis call it the bliss sheet or the philosophical sheet, right? The philosophical sheet. This is where we find our ahankar, our ego. It's the, and then the two flames, the small flame represents the spiritual being whom we are, the Atma. And the big flame represents the Lord in the heart, Paramatma. Yes, question goes to Alicia.
Um, why is the ability of discernment only in the intellect, since our own minds, as we do the practice, is the mind that is able to discern? So why is there a distinction between the mind and the intellect when the mind ends up doing it?
Yeah, they're very close by, very subtle, right? Right now, we're pulling them apart, but they're actually intertwining. So your mind, your mind gets the thoughts. Your intellect discerns if it is a positive thought or if it is a negative thought. So the intellect is superior to the mind, right? So that power of discernment, your mind will get the thought, oh, I see a tree. My intellect tells me, oh, that's a coconut tree, right? My eyes, the karmendriya, the eyes connect to the ball. My intellect tells me, oh, it's a baseball. It's a basketball. My eyes, so all of them, we're separating them, but they work together. Right? So it's just the way how the rishis put it is just to help us to get a concept of how this amazing organism, right? And like we said, your mind and intellect won't work if there is no prana. so we can't, oh, intellect, they work together. It's but we're like doing this with the sutra, pull it apart. So we can look at them individually. But we want to also understand, wait, although we're pulling them apart individually, they relate to each other very closely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Anyone has any other question? Yes.
I do have a question, Prabhu.
Yes.
And it's related to Nisha's question. So you could say that Ahankara is placed on Anandamaya Kosh, and that Manas will be in Manomaya Kosh.
Yes, Manas is the mind, mental energy.
And the Bodhi
is
where will be
it's
placed?
also it's little subtler than that's the Buddha, that's the intellect. It's little subtler, that's the Vigyan Maya. So once we're using intellect, that's already the Vigyan Maya working.
Okay.
Then the first, so remember, yoga means union, right? So what is the first major yoga for Yogi Charu to be in this incarnation? Write this down. There are three major yogas. Yes, yoga means union. There are three major yogas. So the first major yoga for all of us to be in this incarnation, in this room, on this planet, a major yoga had to take place. What is it?
The sperm and the egg.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer. The union of the spermatozoa and the egg. If that didn't take place, Yogi Charu wouldn't be here. None of us would be here. Yes, that's the first major yoga. Now, what is the egg? So the Vedas are so profound. It's amazing. When I came in touch with the Vedas, I was like, whoa, I've never heard anyone broke down life and this universe, right? So Vyasadeva write in one of the Upanishads, the egg consists, the female's egg consists of the 5 tattvas, the elements in their purest state. And he explained, however old this universe is, some must have 3 billion, 2 billion, whatever, however old, we're not going to argue how old the universe is. But when this universe started, what was there was called it, yogis call it the pradhan. And that pradhan had the 5 pure tattvas, the elements. And Lord Vishnu glances at the elements and pradhan and impregnate the egg of the universe. That's how our universe started. So the female's egg has those same 5 tattvas, those elements, in its purest state, just as when the universe began. I was like, whoa, right? The female egg carried the 5 tattvas: earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's what's in the egg. And then the Atma, the me, the you, the spiritual being, from our previous, right? That's the first teaching of the Gita. When Arjun asked Krishna, I don't want to be your friend anymore, Krishna. I want to take you as my guru. What was the first teaching that Krishna gave to him? Transmigration of the soul. And then later on in chapter 14, Krishna even explained it a little bit deeper. It's like aroma, chapter 15, right? Yeah, aroma moves from one room to another. So the subtle body takes the Atma to the next incarnation. So the Atma travels with the, yes. So let's label the outer sheet. We call that the physical body. Let's label the outer sheet physical body. The inner 3 sheets, the next 3 sheets is the same color. Those 3 layers, pranamaya, manomaya, vigyanmaya, those make up our astral body. Or some people call it subtle body. And then the inner box, the Anandamaya, that make up our causal body. C-A-U-S-A-L, causal body. Good. So 5 koshas, 3 bodies. Yes. So the Atma transmigrate from one body to the other, Krishna teaches us, and the Vedas explain. the Atma travels with the subtle body and the causal body. So whatever we get attracted through the three modes of nature, through the eyes, the senses, the ears, and nose, we develop a philosophy from it. And then before we can transmigrate, there needs to be a male and female who have a similar subtle body like ours, right? And hence we chose our we don't like to say it, but yes, we did. We chose our parents. Right. When I heard that the first time, that I had to meditate on that for like a month before I could digest it, because is anyone in this room was like an orphan? No, no one else, right? So my parents, my mom and dad were never together. So when I was born, my mother gave me away. So when I'm thinking so I chose those parents. Right? It was like, wait. Okay, there must be a reason why I chose those parents, right? So, and then I realized why. Because when I got to yoga at the age of like 15, 16, 17, there were no parents to tell me not to practice yoga. I could leave home and landed in the Himalayas and landed in, no one cared, right? So it was a blessing in disguise. So, and if you study the yogic books, a lot of Narada Muni was like that. A lot of where parents died young and they just but then you have a lot of amazing yogis who had their mom and dad, who gave them that family love and they grew that way. So it doesn't matter how we landed here. Right? Let's purify our rare human birth. So, yeah, so with our subtle body, we wait with Paramatma, we wait for our right time with two astral bodies that resembles our evolution. And when the two persons are having Maituna, being intimate, our subtle body will then travel through the semen of the father. So the semen has the 5 elements as well. But it has it's such a dense way that it allows us to get trapped. Then we can get impregnated with the 5 elements of the egg. Right? Amazing. Life is mystical, right? Birth is mystical. How we landed here, we have no clue. So yesterday, the Vedas breaks it down for us, right? And we as we meditate on it, you start to like, oh, wow, okay. So that's the first major yoga, a union of the spermatozoa and the egg for us to take birth. And then the Purana explains after 27 days, the Anandamaya Kosh develops around the Atma. And that's normally when the female will realize, oh, they missed their cycle. They are pregnant, right? Our mothers were like, oh, wow, I am pregnant with Anna or Nisha, I'm pregnant, Gavi, I'm pregnant with Jennifer. Our mom was like, oh, I'm pregnant with Noel, right? Or wow. So that's 27 days. Then 3.5 months, the Vigyan Maya Kosh develops, right? The Vigyan Maya Kosh develops. 4.5 months, the Manomaya starts to develop. Remember, we already have them. We came with them, but they start to mutate into our fetus slowly. And with the little eye starts to develop, the little fingers, the little toes, the little brain is developing. And then by 5.5 months, it says the pranamaya kosh develops. That's when our mother would say, oh, I can feel my baby kicking. It has life, has prana, has energy. And then by the ninth month, that's when the Annamaya kosh develops, our body of the tattvas. And that's why if we're born before, we can't live on the atmosphere of the earth. We have to be put in an incubator until the tattvas develop fully. Then we can live on the earth. And that takes 9 months. The whole journey of yoga is to take us inwards to the Atma, to figure out who we are. That can take 9 months, 9 days, 9 hours, 9 weeks, 9 lifetimes, right? Depending on our evolution. And that's why the yogis, they made this point from the get-go. Yoga is non-competitive. We cannot compete with anyone because we don't know their previous karma, evolution, right? Where they came from. If we just get stuck on asana, we'll get stuck there. That's just one limit. Oh, I'm more flexible. That has nothing to do. That's just to help you to affect your other koshas. But if you're not spending time with the other koshas, then that's as far as we will evolve this life. The next life, you have to continue from there to go deeper and deeper. So the physical body that we see, right, has the earth, water, fire, air, ether, gross elements. Then we have the karmendriyas, right, the arms, legs, right, that comes from the pranamaya kosh. We cannot move the arms, or like I said, cannot eat even if we don't have energy. In the manomaya is where we have the senses, the eyes, the ears, the root. The subtle body has a subtle senses, yes. You closed these eyes last night when you went to sleep, yes? Who had a dream last night or in the last week? Anyone had a dream in the last week? In your dream, you're seeing places, people. You might even have conversations in them. In your dream, you might be even eating, tasting certain things. So the subtle body, the senses, these are the end result, but they actually have their roots in the subtle body. Yep. Because remember, the Atma has spiritual senses. Our Atma has eyes, ears, spiritual eyes, but then it uses these subtle bodies. Then we get the gross body with it. So the yogis understood they're coming from inner layers. So as we start to evolve, we're going to use the physical senses to get information, use the subtle senses to get information. And then when we reach samadhi, we don't need any of them because the soul is free from all of them, right? Spiritual being, the Atma is beyond this. The physical body gets tired. The astral body gets tired. The soul never gets tired, right? Then Vigyan Maya Kosh is where we have that discernment power, right? We're able to discern. You see a red light in my country or in India, red light is optional. But in most countries around the world, green light means go, red light means up. So we're always using that. They're so close. The eyes see red, your intellect kicks in, stop, right? So the koshas working together. The eyes make contact with green light, your intellect, oh, it's green. You put the foot on the axe, you drive the car forward. So our bodies, the koshas, they work so entwined together. And then the yoga is called the Anandamaya Kosh, where we have, that's the first layer that covers the universe, Krishna explains, right? So the first layer that covers the universe is the first layer that covers the Atma, Ahankar. So we call it ego. In the West, ego has a negative connotation, right? But the yogis, they break it down. It's when we say, oh, that person has an ego, hello, everyone has an ego. But when you say, someone says, oh, that person's ego, it means that person's false ego. But then we all have a true ego. So in this kosha is where we develop we call it the philosophical kosha. Every person you meet or you see on the street is living by a philosophy. Does anyone know how many philosophers are on the planet?
As many people as there are.
Thank you, Jennifer. There are about 8.5 billion humans. It means there are 8.5 billion philosophers. Unfortunately, in Kali Yugas, most of those philosophy are devolving. And then we have some philosophers who are evolving. So everyone is living by a philosophy. That's what, when they wake up, when they open their eyes in the morning, that I am, right? That I am is moving them. I am. So they're living by that philosophy. And so Patanjali explains in the Yoga Sutras, right? That's a Yoga Chitta Vritti. He says, yoga is when we have removed, right? A lot of people always quote the second mantra of the Yoga Sutras, and they forget to quote the third mantra. The third mantra is the most important part of those two mantras, because he says after your mental, right, the mental modifications, after your philosophical misconceptions, your mind gets still. What does he say in the third mantra? Then the seer abides in its true nature. That's what yoga is. Yoga doesn't mean to quiet the mind. Quiet the mind is only bringing you to the mode of goodness, right? But then as your mind gets quiet, we want to use that quietness to connect to our spiritual self, the Atma. But somehow in the yoga community, everywhere I travel around the world, yoga teachers quote that mantra 2 without quoting mantra 3. They forget about, no, yoga is written over, let the mind get quiet. Yes, we want the mind to get quiet. Because from that quietness, we can then start to explore the koshas and connect to the true ahankar, the true ego. I am a divine spiritual being. And Patanjali explained, if we're not saying that, then I will be identifying with, I am a male, I am Belizean, I am 5'7", I am 48 years old. All those are misconceptions. Those are only pertaining to my koshas, to my body. The true I am is beyond all of those. Yeah. So as we go through when we're practicing the yoga, like we're pulling the pranayama branch out of these 5 koshas, right? But when you practice pranayama, you're going to purify, you affect the others, your mind gets peaceful. All of a sudden, your realizations come from within. So it takes you on a journey. Yep. So how do we purify the physical body? How do you clean the physical body? This is second nature for most people, right?
Take a shower.
Take a shower. What else do you do to clean the body?
Brush my teeth.
Brush your teeth. Good. What else did you do?
Hair.
Shampoo, conditioner.
Drink water.
Drink water. Good, good, right? So that's how we are trained to clean the body. When I got to the yoga culture, my teacher looked at me and said, Charu, we are yogis. The body is not only external, the body is also internal organs. And that's why the yogis developed the kriyas, the cleansing techniques, right? So we wash the colon out. We add these to the things that we already do for the external body. We do all the internal kriyas. Good. Then how do we purify the pranamaya kosh? Hello, we're in a pranayama training. All the pranayama practice we're doing, we're starting to remove stagnation in the nadis. Yes, the channels that move prana. And as we remove them, prana starts to flow gracefully. All the practices of pranayama, that's what we're doing, affecting the channels of pranayama. So let's write this word down. Get your notepad. The word is called nadi, N-I-D, N-A-D-I, nadi. Nadi means a pathway or a channel that transports something. That's a nadi. A nadi is a pathway or a channel that transports something. So in the physical body, our nadis would be our
veins or capillaries.
yes, veins, arteries, capillaries. Those are in Sanskrit. The Ayurvedic doctor calls them nadis. Then the astral body, made up of mind, intellect, and pranayama, right? We have channels in those as well. They call them nadis. But these transport energy, prana. Whereas the veins transport blood, our nervous system transports synapses. The subtle body has nadis that transports energy. So by our pranayama, we start to purify the nadis. Okay. Actually, let's have a little break. We'll come back. Complete the koshas. Let's have a 10-minute break. See you in a bit. Yeah. Cheers. The welcome back. Koshas. Okay, so where did we left off? The channels, nadis, yes. So sometimes you'll see a drawing in Indian yogic books of a silhouette of someone, and then it has a lot of little things, lines going around it. Yes, have anyone seen that? Lines going around their body of the silhouette. So those lines are representing the nadis that are transporting energy. Energy. Then how do we clean the mind? We purify the body with shower, all the kriyas. We purify the pranayam kosh with pranayam practices. How do we purify the manomaya kosh?
Mantras.
Mantras, yes.
Meditation?
Yes, concentration of the mind. So, like I said, there are so many concentration techniques, right? And Bhakti Yoga, what are some of the concentration techniques we are taught in Bhakti Yoga?
Chanting.
That is concentrating the mind on sound. Good. Anyone else?
Gazing at the candles.
Bhakti Yoga? No. Gazing at the
Deities.
feet of,
Deity.
yeah, gazing at the feet of the deity. And you see the toenails, the ankle bells, you come up towards Krishna that way. So that's purification of the mind through the eyes. How do we purify the mind in Bhakti Yoga? Through the tongue?
Through all
Mahamantra.
Through the tongue?
Prashadam.
Through mantra and prasadam. Right? You concentrate on the food that is coming back in the mercy, yes? You can taste it. Taste Krishna's love in it. How do we purify the mind in Bhakti Yoga? Through touch.
Dressing the deities.
That's one. Good. Dressing the deities.
helping each other.
Huh?
Helping each other.
Yeah, you hug a devotee, right? That's purification. And then we call it parikram or circumambulation. So you're either circumambulating the tulsi tree, or you're circulating the deity, right? In a lot of because a lot of the temples in India are built classically, but the temples in America are not, built according to Vastu. But if you go to the temples in India, what would you see? The deity is where? It's not in the center of the temple, and it's not at the back of it's like 3/4. Why is that? So that people can do their parikrama around the deity. Yes. In a place like, say, New York, right? We don't have that facility in the Bhakti Center, but how many New Yorkers are circulating Radha Mulidar in their taxis, in there. They're walking around. So the whole thing get them, they're doing paracram. We don't even know it. They're getting, we call it Agatha Sukriti, right? Causeless mercy. We don't even know it, people get purified. So Prabhupada, that was, because I remember one Indian philosophical scholar, he was challenging Prabhupada in the early days, in the 67, 68, like that. And Prabhupada was succinct, boom, boom. Well, their temples are not built like that. And I said, no. Then everything, he was so philosophical, he was sharp, Sanskrit, and Prabhupada just easily, gracefully purified him, answering him so gracefully, right? Yes, the temples might not be built like the ones in India, but wherever the deities are. Prabhupada said the deity is also in your heart. Yeah. Then he kind of got yeah. He was like, wow, this person is very evolved than me. He humbled his consciousness to Prabhupada. So yeah, so in Bhakti Yoga, we have all these amazing concentration techniques. So another way of touch is holding, touching the mala, right? So as we touch the mala, yes, your mind gets purified by. If you're holding your mala, right, you're accustomed to chant mantra, so it helps the mind. Good. So that's how we purify the mind. Yes. Then how do we purify the Vigyan Maya Kosh?
Prabhu, and the one before, and did you say something about the nose? About how we purify the nose?
Oh yeah, true. Sorry. Thank you. True. The incense, the smell of the flowers, the prasad that's offered, right? The flowers, the incense. So in Bhakti Yoga, you can see all the concentration techniques are there to purify the mind, right? Then how do we purify the intellect?
Listening to sacred literature.
So listening to sacred literature, studying the books, studying the wisdom that are in the mode of goodness and above. Krishna says, in the mode of goodness, the mind can do amazing things in the Gita, right? And we can see we live in a planet where we depend on our engineers and our, they're in the mode of goodness. They build airplanes, right? Unless your mind is in the mode of goodness, you cannot build an airplane that flies for thousands of miles. The mode of goodness in the engineer mind, I mean, they built Zoom, how, I don't know how they built Zoom, I don't know how they built, but so we can see the engineers are in the mode of goodness, that they can create all these amazing, Paramatma works with them through the heart, right? Connect to their intellect and bring forth stuff. So in the yoga, we're called co-creators. God is the ultimate creator of everything, but he used different people when they're in different modes of nature to help to develop certain things. I think the internet, I think it was developed, the military, right? They were planning to use it for war, right? In the 70s, I think late 60s or 70s, that's when they developed the internet. And they use the sound waves from the radio waves, and then they develop phone waves, and then they develop, oh, we can use this as, so now everyone uses the internet today. But there was a time it didn't exist. But the engineers and the military, Paramatma in their heart connected to them. So we are grateful for that gift, right? We can use it and purify it. So then another way to evolve with purify the Vigyan Maya Kosh is, yes, we said through lectures, through studying the books. we grow, right? So we want to evolve with spiritual texts. And then how do we purify the Anandamaya Kosh? In Kali Yuga. It's through Kirtan. Kirtan, Lord Chaitanya established it, right? In this age of Kali. So every yuga has a Maha Mantra, right? Yeah. Satya Yuga, the Maha Mantra was Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Treta Yuga, the Maha Mantra was Om Namo Narayana. The Dwapara Yuga, each yuga has a Maha Mantra. That Maha Mantra is to purify the most subtle body that's covering the Atma. So to purify the Anandamaya Kosh, the Maha Mantra is, for Kali Yuga, is the Hare Krishna mantra. So that's the mantra helps to purify the closest thing. And then our real Ahankar or true ego comes out. I am a spiritual being. Now, so when we're pulling them apart, well, as you watch it, you recognize, when you are doing anything in life, all of these are working simultaneously, right? You have to use your intellect, you're using your mind, you're using your body, you're using your breath there, and your ego is there too. All of them are being used constantly, simultaneously. So as you start to purify your body, what are you also purifying? Your pranamaya kosh. Then you're purifying your mind, right? There's a saying, cleanliness is next to godliness, right? Then as you start to get spiritual knowledge, what happens to your pranamaya kosh? It grows, right? What happens to your body? It starts to heal itself, right? So we can see the prana move from subtle to gross, and from gross to subtle. Information moves back and forth. So that's the first major yoga. What is the second major yoga? Anna, Noel, what's the second major yoga?
Birth? No.
Birth, but what takes place at birth? What union takes place at birth?
I don't know.
Is it breathing?
That's one, breathing with a union, your breath and your heartbeat.
Yeah.
So the second major yoga, the first major yoga is the spermatozoa and the egg. The second major yoga is your heartbeat and your lungs and your breath. So all of us in this room went through those two major yogas already. Yes. So when we're as a little fetus in our mother's womb, we have a little heart. The heart is so small. It's already beating. And we have two small lungs, right? They're breathing. But our mother is breathing for us. So as our mother does this, our two lungs did that. And as our mother exhale, our two lungs exhale. So as our mother is doing this. So when we take birth, it is the first time we are breathing for our self. It's the first time you, right? So a union takes place then with your heartbeat and your two lungs. And that's the second major yoga. And that's why in Ayurveda, if you go to the Ayurvedic doctor, what's the first thing they'll do? is to find your pulse, right? They'll touch your hair, they'll touch your hair, here, they find the pulse, and they can sync it with your heartbeat. And as they sync it with your heartbeat, they can tell what type of substance, what type of prana is depleted in the organism. So to a baby in perfect health will take one breath, one inhalation, and one exhalation. And in that one breath, the baby will have 1, 2, 3, 4 heartbeats, right? That one breath to 4 heartbeats equal perfect health. When someone say they're sick, they're inhaling and exhaling, they're having 10 heartbeats or 6 heartbeats. We move out of that balance of health. Yes. Test it right now, because we're turning it in from GAN to vegan. Find your heartbeat either here. You'll be able to find it there the easiest, or you can even just put your heart on the chest. Find the heartbeat first. When you find the heartbeat, you relatively, you know, wow, that's my heartbeat. And then try and take a normal breath. Don't control the breath. Just a normal inhalation and exhalation, and you should get around 4 or 5 breaths, 4 or 5 heartbeats. Yes. Ayurveda is so precise. It's amazing, right? That if you, the way how they understood the mind, body, organism is above anything I had studied before. And I was doing biology, chemistry, math. When I came to Vedic knowledge, I was like, wow, this is from realized knowledge, right? It's like, makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. Good. So if you're averaging like 4 to 5 heartbeats in one breath, you're relatively healthy. When we move out of that synchronicity, that's when we develop disturbed values, disturbed pranas. Yep. Good. Okay. Any questions on the koshas? You can all teach the koshas right now, right? Everyone is clear, very easy. Yes, you can hold the space.
Explain a little more detail about the Atma and the Paramatma. And are we looking for the Atma in every person in front of us? You're looking for the Paramatma also, because the Paramatma is in everybody.
Yes. So, Pandita Darshanaha, Krishna says, self-realized being is able to see a soul and the Lord right next to them in every species, in an animal, in an elephant, in a dog eater, a human, a Brahmin. That's what we're trained to see. So as you develop that vision more and more and more, that knowledge, wait, when I meet this person, I'm meeting a person with koshas. They have a mind, they have an intellect, they have an ego, but beyond all that is a spiritual being and the Lord in the heart. And if the Atma and the Lord in the heart leaves the body, then the koshas are lifeless. And we see that, right? So we want to, as we develop this vision, then we start to treat each other as spiritual beings. We start to care for each other as spiritual beings. We serve each other as spiritual beings. Like one of my friends in Mumbai, he's a doctor, and he's a devotee, he's evolved, but he said Muslims come to him, he performs operation. Jains come to him. So in other words, he no longer sees the externals. He's treating the soul, and that's what it should come to. And we can see, like, when there's natural catastrophe, we naturally connect to that high level. We transcend. We don't care if the person is a different race, gender. We make so many unnecessary things about so much things, right? Transgender. No, see them as a soul. Come to that high platform. And then we can, but again, it's hard to come to that high platform when the masses of society is in ignorance, right? So you have to, that's why it says, sadhu sangha, you need that association of vibration to keep you evolving so that you stay on that higher frequency. Because it's so easy to get caught up with the ignorances and the isms and schisms, and that's what people, the masses, are in Kali Yuga. So we understand it's Kali Yuga. It's like when it's nighttime, do you expect to see the sun at night? No, it's night. So it's Kali Yuga. Ignorance prevails. Oh. So if you meet one person who is evolving, wow, get their association. Those who are tapping into that vision of the Atma and Paramatma, because that's who we really, really are. The Koshas, the external, the bird body, the cat body, the fish body, the human body, right? We're breaking off from those perceptions. Well, yeah.
But aren't we? Sorry, I need to frame the question. When we see somebody evolving very clearly, then I think it's easier for us to discern and want to keep that association to raise our higher frequency. But when we make the decision that somebody's evolving or not evolving, does that mean my frequency goes down? Because right there, I have judged somebody.
No.
Okay, am I just overthinking?
Krishna gave you that power of discernment for a reason, right? So we can see when it's day, when it's night. We can see when someone is evolving, when someone is not. It's okay to, yeah, that person is here. They're going to try and steal your purse. That's not, keep them at bay. Right? No, this person, they're coming to serve you out of love. That's, yeah, we need to use that, right? It's like we love animals, right? Care for animals. I have to use my discernment. I'm not Lord Chaitanya. When I see a lion, I love that lion from a distance. I see a tiger, I love animals. Unless you're Lord Chaitanya going through the jungle of Jarakanda and dancing and chanting with the animals, and the animals start to speak to you, that's different. So as we evolve, we have to know the soul's capacity that Krishna allows us to evolve to. So we need to discern constantly, yes. That's why we're engineered with it. Now, as you get spiritually evolved, that discernment becomes more and more refined. And sometimes we make mistakes. We're human, we're conditioned, right? So until we get to that high platform, you might make okay, pick yourself up the next day. You're welcome. Good. So Koshas, yes. So now we're going to move into, let me stop this.